I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'd like to begin with a pledge of allegiance, please. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. I'm sorry? Okay. Video and audio? Okay, did everybody hear that? Okay. All right, first order of business is open public forum and Facebook responses. Is there anyone here that is here to speak to the select board? Mr. Harry.
I'd like to provide a brief update regarding my zoning enforcement action involved in my property. Written complaint submitted by the select board chair states that I am operating an auto detailing business, that I have no business certificate, and that I may be washing harmful chemicals into the soil, potentially contaminating nearby wells. Those statements are speculative and are not supported by any documented facts. No inspection was conducted, no environmental testing occurred, no evidence was cited to support those claims. I also want to clarify that I operate under an active Massachusetts LLC using my registered legal name, so no separate DBA or business certificate is required. At December 15th meeting, the chair stated that he directed enforcement after receiving multiple complaints. However, the public record reflects only a single written complaint authored by the chair himself. That complaint ends with "see attached," even though no attachment has been produced in response to the records request. The notice itself says that only that it appears to be true, relies on a website, does not reflect my business name. It contains no findings under section 3.2.5 of the zoning bylaw, which section 3.4 expressly requires to be considered.
Okay, I'm going to address that when it comes to responding to Facebook misinformation. Okay. I saw another hand up there. This young lady.
Select board and the historical commission for the dot on the common decorating Christmas really enhanced the beauty of the common, and we received many compliments from people from outside of town of how good the common is. So thank you to select board. No one is here from historical, but historical commission did a fabulous job.
Thank you for saying so. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else? Okay. Now to the Facebook piece. Mr. Harry, as you know, at the last meeting, stood up and announced to the town that he had been served a complaint by the zoning officer. Okay. It is not the select board or anybody else's position or responsibility or authority to be enforcing zoning laws or state building and zoning laws. Okay. That's done by the zoning officer. Mr. Harry announced that I said he had been doing all these things. Nope. What I said was, I have had complaints that this is going on. I gave it to the zoning officer and asked the zoning officer to take a look at it and see if, in fact, there was any credence to these complaints. He did what he does. He sent a response out, and the rest is what you're hearing here tonight. And anybody who is foolish enough to go on Facebook may have seen it there. Now, having said all of that, some of the other things mentioned in here, I don't want to misquote you because I know you think that that's a big issue. One of the things you had a concern with, and this should be noted that this was under, how did you say this? You wanted to clarification for the public record is what he said he was doing on Facebook. So under the clarification, it is true that I issued that complaint. As I said, right after it came to the surface, I mentioned that it was me that did that, okay? It doesn't require even one other person to complain. All it takes is one person to file a complaint. You don't have to be a select board member. You don't have to be a health board member. You don't have to be anything except the person that lives in this town and is concerned with what's going on. So to suggest that somehow there was something askew there would be, to say the very least, inaccurate, okay? In another part of this, and you feel free to correct me if I say something that isn't accurate, okay? You also stated that I spoke not only of the allegation that you may be doing something wrong at your property, but I also said that that was one issue. And the second issue was that people were concerned about what may or may not have been washed into the soil, okay? I never said it was. I said people were concerned. And I did, in fact, go to the Board of Health and ask them to take a look at that. So in your post here, where you say that it only reflected, I alleged that these things were going on, but the complaint only alleged that you were doing something incorrectly under the zoning, not accurate. I don't, it's up to the Board of Health to move on that whenever they feel they should, and maybe they don't feel they have to. That's entirely up to them. I'm not discussing it with you. I said, if I say something that's inaccurate, you can say something about that. Are you telling me I'm inaccurate about that?
Let me ask you when you told the Board of Health that.
Same day the file was given to the zoning officer, 25th of November. Okay. Okay. And after that, we also, hang on, I want to make sure I don't misquote you on this because I know that'll light up Facebook for the next 6 months. Okay, we talked about contamination. Oh, yes. Okay. And this is my personal favorite. When you read the post and the response, it says that I visited his property with a friend who had had his car detailed, and that is completely accurate. And I did that, what, like 4 months ago?
Yeah.
How long ago was that, would you say? 2020. Okay, perfect. So to suggest that I was there and I knew this was going on and didn't have an issue with it until other people were piling onto you is misleading in that you allow people, no, it was accurate that I was there, but I was there 5 years ago before I was on this board and before I knew who you were or what you were doing for the business or what was legal and what wasn't. But now that I have this position and people come and say, I have an issue with this and I need somebody to take a look at it, now it's not only my right to do it, it's my obligation to do it. And I have done it. Okay. So suggesting these things, again, misleading people because to say, oh, he was at my house and looked at this. I didn't see anywhere in here where it said I was there in 2020. So any reasonable person reading that, in my opinion, would believe that it was recently that I was there. So, well, you can shake your head, but, well, okay, I'm speculating. Well, good thing you're not held to that same problem then, huh? Because I see a lot of speculation, all of it inaccurate. So the clarification that was put out to clarify what was happening with this was inaccurate at every level. Okay, so I just want people to understand. I beg people, please don't, if you want to know what's going on in town, don't be going to Facebook and saying, okay, let's see what's being said here, because it has been my experience and things that I've been told and documents that has been handed to me over the years that the people who are loudest telling us what's going on in town are speaking from pinnacles of near perfect ignorance because they do not have any inside track to see what's happening here. If they come to a meeting, that's fine. Then they know what's being said here. But to suggest that that's the place to go if you want your answers couldn't be further from the truth. And I believe that's my 5 minutes. I have a lot more that I will bring to other meetings along this subject. But as we are limited to the 5 minutes, in a future meeting, I will make more time for this so that we can address everything because I think it's spinning out of control now, the misinformation that's going around in this town. Unless you're telling me I'm inaccurate, I don't want to hear it. You can request all you want, and if we depending on what we have going, be more than happy to do that. Believe me. So now, if anybody else on this board wants to beat me up, wants to talk about any of this, please feel free. This is the time to do it. Just
No, I will say that, Mr. Stewart and I did have a meeting with the building, the enforcement officer, just to understand, not to question his authority or anything like that, but just to understand the process. I know a violation is given, and then what happens after that. So I had to educate myself as to what the next steps are, because I'm never going to, sitting here, I'm not going to tell the enforcement officer how to do his job or how to enforce the bylaws. That's not my job. My job is to have an understanding so that when the questions come from the residents, I can answer that. Mr. Stewart, do you have any?
that is completely accurate, and I appreciate your take on that. And did you want to speak on the meeting? Don't feel like you have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No, Ms.
No?
McGuire covered it pretty well. There's definitely two ways of two lenses to view this from. There's an emotional lens and there's an objective lens. The emotional lens has been from the start what's made me feel uncomfortable with this whole thing. The objective lens is different than that. And sitting here on a select board, we don't get the luxury of our own personal emotional lens. You have to look at it through that objective lens. And the building inspector walked us through the process of when a complaint is made and what responsibilities everyone has, from the complainant to everyone else involved. I understand that process better now. And it just really became clear that you need to separate that emotional lens from the objective lens.
Good. Thank you. And I just wanted to revisit something that Crystal said, if you don't mind. And I'm not clarifying what you said. It was crystal clear, okay? Pardon the pun now. But I just want to say there's a belief in a lot of people that this board has the authority to tell everybody in town what to do. It doesn't work that way at all, particularly when it comes to some of these officers, like the building and zoning officer, because all we do is appoint to that position, and then that person's authority is statutory. So we don't come in and say, okay, you did that wrong, we want you to change that, or look the other way on this. Not our role. We don't do that ever, okay? When the allegation of some kind of wrongdoing was there, we very simply said, well, you know what? People want to take a look at it. I don't know whether it's true or not. I have no idea. Send it to the person who's charged with looking at this. Let them go do their job. If he determined that there was something that needed some action that needed to be taken, then that was his decision, not mine. Same thing with the health department. If they think that there's something going on up there that is inaccurate or incorrect or whatever, then it's up to them to act on it, not the Board of Selectmen. We do not do that. That's not our role here. Okay. And that is now the end of that discussion, because that has gone way longer than it should have. But thank you all for your input on that. Okay. All right, moving on. We have minutes of August 11th, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those?
I have a few things on those minutes.
Oh, good.
to
Okay.
Bring up.
Wow.
Chris, on second page, very top, it mentions that I asked a question, and I think it's important that for that question, I asked if Mr. Connor thought that it was the responsibility of the future emergency management director to work with other first responders in town to put those drafts together. And I asked that for a very specific reason, and I asked it in that manner. So if we can just get together and I can give you, unless you want to copy it right now. You want it?
Right, correct. Now, let me go.
T. Stewart asked if he thought it was cross out fitting the responsibility of the future emergency management director, not could, but to work with other first responders. And then the rest is fine in that sentence. I'm fine with it. But that was asked for a reason. And then moving forward, this would be page 4, it looks like. It's discussion of 19 Main Street, Hitchcock.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if there's any bearing on this, but T. Stewart asked, I'm looking middle paragraph, halfway down. And it starts with Stewart, said he was not for the different options out there. That's inaccurate. And I'm just saying, because it's not that I wasn't for the different options out there. I think what clarifies is I wasn't really supportive of the 4 options that the building committee created, because they went over the cost that the people had kind of slammed at one of the last votes. Just taking that into consideration. So if you can just clarify that. And all right, I think that's going to be it. I have a couple more, but they're not that important. I'm good with it.
Okay, so we we can do one of two things now. We can either,
Second. I would recommend he correct the second one. Then Chris can get it in the minutes, and then we can approve the amendment.
okay, well, that was gonna be my comment. We can either accept them as amended, or we can wait and have them reissued to the next meeting and sign them then. Would you rather do it that way?
Okay, however you want, easiest way. I'm okay with just accepting them as amended. And we can.
Other thoughts on that?
I can't find the second one. I can't find your second.
Right in the middle of this paragraph. Discussion of
4.
19 Main Street, second paragraph down, it's like 3 lines down, 3 or 4.
In the
Right here, T. Stewart said the town was not amicable to raising taxes. They did not want a single option placed in front of the vote. Correct?
Yeah, it's the first word in that sentence is my last name. In the middle paragraph.
Yeah, like the fourth one
Stewart said he
down.
was not for the different options out there, but I wasn't, but do you find it, Marty?
No, I didn't.
It's great.
Let me see.
You can't see it.
Wrong page.
Thanks for writing me out.
Right, yeah. Stewart said
Oh,
he
I
was
see
not
it.
for the
Okay,
different-
got it. Thank you.
Yeah, because I just think that's a. kind of
Yeah, no,
misleading.
that's. I
Is that all
agree.
right?
Yeah, that's for the permanent record. So if you don't like what it says and you want to, you know. Okay, thoughts?
Just gonna delete, do you just want to delete that line?
No, just T. Stewart said he was not for the different options created by the building committee. Because they violated they went over the cost criteria that the town or the residents had voted, indicated, better word.
I would prefer that we just kind of let Chris go back over this and leave this.
All right, okay, I agree with Crystal. We'll table it until,
Let him get it
Chris
right.
has a chance to, yeah, then there won't be any misunderstanding about it,
Yeah.
right? Okay, all right, fair enough. So that's on hold for now. Okay. All right, so under new business, excuse me, appointments and resignations, we don't really have anything listed there. So under new business, Council on Aging, Director interview with Scott Berg and Lila Brady. Are both candidates here? You must be Lila then. Come on up. Well, yeah, in keeping with the way they were done, no, please come up, sir, both of you, yes, please. Yeah, just see wherever you're comfortable. Okay, and I would just ask very briefly that you announce your name, who you are, because it's for the record, okay?
Lila Brady,
You live on, what, just street? You have to get
Warren Road.
Warren Road. Say again? Okay, all right, thank you.
Say that you guys are gonna have to really speak up because that blower, I'm having a tough time
Yeah,
hearing.
it's hard to hear over that blower, sorry. That's kind of why I made you come up here. Sorry about that.
You have to question.
Hey, Mr. Berg, could you come up here just so that my hearing's failing?
You're a youngster.
Oh, I know, well, my moisturizer works.
Okay. So last time we interviewed two folks who were also interested in the position. And the way we did that was we had them come up and we asked them the questions, but alternating between you. Same questions, both parties, okay? And we did it last time, so I don't want to do something extraordinary that will throw it into doubt. So just so you know, that's why we are where we are right now, okay? All right, so we got one. Where's the other one? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take turns. Each member will ask a question till we run out of questions. How's that, okay? And then I ran out too short the last time, so Paul keeps me honest. What do you mean I'm last? He goes, there's 2 more to go. All right, so I'm gonna start with Mr. Frazier at the end, and I'm gonna invite him to ask, and
Who wants to?
we can
start?
flip a coin or somebody can pick. You want to go first? All right, you're first.
Walk us briefly walk us through your professional career. What got you started in this field and how your employment progressed to where you are today?
Oh, wow, how briefly.
I'd say Yeah.
10 minutes.
3 minutes is my point.
I had a life-changing experience in my early 30s. I went back to school and got my bachelor's of science in human services from Brimfield College because I decided I wanted to do something more with my life. And after I got my nice new shiny degree in my hand, 3 weeks later, I saw a job opportunity at Senior Services. So I applied with my nice new shiny degree and I was hired. And that gave me the most wonderful learning experience. I managed a grant that they had for the State Department of Public Health, doing specialized outreach to older women around breast cancer, because at that time Medicare, I'm going to be long, I'm sorry, but okay. Medicare only paid every other year. We were trying to encourage women to go get mammograms every year. So I collaborated with all the different agencies in the area because like the hospitals had funds to pay for the mammograms, but I would help steer women into it. So I sat on task force committees. I learned about working with diverse and underserved populations. I just got to do so many things. And when the grant ended, it was a 5-year grant. About maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, an opportunity came up at the American Cancer Society. It was one of the organizations that I worked with closely. And they welcomed me in, and there I had a wonderful, wonderful career. Just doing all sorts of things. I managed programs and patient services. I wasn't in income development. And I worked with volunteer committees. I was on cancer committees at the hospitals. My biggest love, though, was working with our volunteers. That to me was the very best thing. And then I found this job at the senior center, which I have loved. I've been there 11 plus years. And when people ask me what I do, I say I get up every day and I go to the clubhouse and I hang out with some really wonderful people. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of planning all the fun things, the programs, the entertainment, working with parties. And yes, I also do dishes and take out trash. So here I am.
A quick question for you.
Yes.
Did you work with Sandy and Carol? Carol Gask, Sandy Federico
And where?
in Springfield?
It's Greater Springfield Senior Services. They don't ring a bell.
Okay, all right, just one. I worked at City Hall for like 17 years and I knew the folks that did that. I just wondered if you know them. That was,
Do you want me to read the question again?
Scott Burke. I'm a YMCA guy, so I grew up in the YMCA, and what makes this relevant for me actually. Actually 30 years ago, 1994, I was invited to start a teen center at the Wilbraham Senior Center. So we had 187 kids the first night. You talk about a challenge. We had a senior center at the Old High School running teen center every Friday, Saturday night. So I learned a lot about senior teens. Flash forward, my project for my graduate school, I started a brand new Y. So I started the Scannick Valley YMCA from scratch. Grew it to 18 sites. Huge success at Wilbraham. Went out and raised $6.5 million. And today I'm still on the board of the YMCA. So the Y is something in my blood my whole life. Couple stints raising money for colleges. I was CEO of the YMCA, still again on the board. And then I spent 7 years with Bay State Health as the vice president of philanthropy for Bay State Health. So worked with all populations, all needs, referrals, you name it. So I've got a very strong network. And I look at this as a nice bookend to my career. Really had big impact in the YMCA. And this is an impact job. This is impacting seniors, families, needs, dignity, all the above. And for me too, I'm an active caretaker in my grandson's life. So they live next to me, a single parent, my son. So I'm actually taking care of them quite a bit. They're in school, but that's why I'm looking at part-time work right now. I want to make sure I'm around for them for the drop off of school, make sure I'm an active grandfather. So this is a real opportunity in my mind to impact the community, impact seniors, and really use my program skills to build upon what's already there.
thank you. Any questions from the board members of either candidate at this point before we move to the next question? Everybody's okay? Everybody good? Okay. Mr. Stewart, you're next.
Okay. I guess he's gonna start this one.
Yeah, we're gonna alternate, so you begin with this one, yeah.
Okay. All right, so number 2, priorities and understanding of the role. What would you say are the top 3 priorities for success in this position?
You have to be a strong leader. And by strong, I don't mean a forceful leader, but you have to show leadership. in all ways, both, with fiscal management, with staff, with the community. That's key. For me, community, partnerships, absolutely essential. You can grow a program by having a lot of partners, get a lot of volunteers, people want to help. So I think, the community engagement is absolutely key. And then I think programming. I'm a born program director. I was a camp director. I ran summer camps forever, 1,000 kids a day. So I'm used to programming and making sure that programs change. What I learned with the YMCA and it's not all programs stay forever. So you got to keep on evolving your programs and make sure you're offering the ones that people want and need. And those change. And so I think the key thing, if you were to ask me today, what are the top programs? That's really have to ask your clientele. Just looking, I think about a third of your citizens are in that age in Brimfield, 60 plus. So really getting the input of the citizens, what do they want in the senior services and senior programs? I'm a big believer that facilities facilitate programs. You don't have to have the brand new facility, but you have to have top-notch programs wherever you go. So I think it's really leadership and collaboration and programming. Those are your key skills.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Okay,
Can you read it again for me?
Sure
The
thing.
top three.
What would you say are the top 3 priorities for success in this position?
I think I'm going to go on a little different track. I think I'm going to say my number one priority would be to maintain the stellar reputation that we've achieved over the last 11 plus years at the senior center. We enjoy being known as the friendliest and most welcoming senior center in the area, and we are all proud of that. If I had to go to a second, I would probably say to make sure that our resources are up to date and relevant to the communities that we serve. And third, I would say probably good. I should say sustainability, but I really want to say something else. But sustainability to me means making sure that you have the budget and the money and donations and whatever you need to keep the senior center current and ongoing. But what I really wanted to say was that I would like to very slowly see if we could steer the senior center into doing more things with technology and AI, because it's coming at us like a tidal wave, whether we want it or not. So.
everybody good? No questions or comments? I'm not going to read anything into the fact that they gave me working with difficult individuals, because arguably I'm the one here.
Wait,
No, I mean, I'm the one here. That's why.
You would be looking at me.
No. No. Well, I don't know. Just kidding. Okay, working with difficult individuals. Tell us about the time you had to work with an individual or organization that was difficult to get along with. How did you handle the situation and what was the outcome?
I'm going to put difficult people into two different categories. I think we have difficult people that are just difficult by nature. And one of the things, Eva actually did was she created a handbook which clearly lays out codes of conduct at the senior center. And having it in writing and having people have to sign that they received the handbook makes it a little bit easier if somebody crosses the line and you then have to tell them, look, if this happens again, you're out, or if it's really egregious, you send them out. And then most of the people I run into are people that are being difficult because of a situation. They're not difficult people. And one I can tell you about because it just stands out after all these years. I was at the cancer center in Mercy Hospital, Sister Caritas. And we had a cancer resource center in there. And I was there working with the volunteer. And there was a gentleman who was getting clearly very, very agitated. And he had gone up to the receptionist a couple of times. And he seemed to be getting more agitated and more agitated. So I went in and I spoke with him and I just introduced myself, told him where I was from. I said, is there anything I can do? And what had happened was he had taken time off from work. And this is a story with cancer that just goes on. He had taken time off from work to bring his mom to treatment. And he was supposed to be only there like 20 minutes and it had been over an hour and he was late getting back from work. So I just said, I understand. Let me go see what I can find out for you. And I did. And I found out that the machine had broken down. and they were in the process of getting it back up running. It would only be a few more minutes. And I presented it to him and he was very relieved, but he was even more relieved when I had an opportunity to tell them that we had a transportation program called Road to Recovery, which I managed in Hamden County, Franklin County, and Hampshire County. So those three counties were my area to handle it. And if his mother was eligible, which she was, we could help with some of the rides. And he was so relieved. He gave me this humongous hug and lifted me off the floor. And it was a very, very good outcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions or comments? No? Okay, same question to you. You want me to read it again?
Globally, healthcare brings out a lot of emotions. So I've dealt with a lot of emotional people over the years. But the two of the more challenging, when I was CEO of the YMCA, we were in dire financial straits. I had to close down 2 YMCA's facilities, one in Agawam and one being one of the oldest African-American community centers in Springfield. So I actually had to stand up in front of groups and convey that message. And I had a very clear message. It was a difficult but necessary decision. Now, not everybody buys that, but it was the truth because, we just financially could not keep those 2. So I actually closed down Agawam a week before I closed down Dunbar. And I took the hit. So I was the face of the news. I was the face of the meetings. And that was fine. And I would say one of my nicest compliments, the YMCA, I was working out after I had left as CEO, and there was an older lady sitting in the lobby at the Y at 275 Chestnut. And she yelled across the lobby. She said, "Are you the guy that closed down Dunbar?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You know what? You did a good job. Really appreciate that." And I went over and gave her a hug because I needed to hear that. Thank you.
A lot of hugging going on in this one.
So, but you have these difficult but necessary decisions sometimes. And I've dealt with a lot of being CEO of the Y members. You deal with it every day. Whether it's the water isn't working or you have to close down or whatever. It's just, you got to just be honest, talk to people, deal with situations right away. I'm not the kind of person that lets things foster. I return my calls, my emails, and make sure I leave with a clear conscience.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. Okay, you will get the first question this time, Lila. And Mr. Frazier will be asking it.
All gonna get a chance at
I don't get a chance.
Oh,
Wow,
I
I feel,
oh my
I know we
God.
got a new seating arrangement
They
here.
threw the seating
But-
off and I completely got lost in the thing here. All right, I don't want to, listen, I don't want to seem critical. I just wanted to see if Mr. Frazier was still paying attention.
away.
Yeah, he was
The
awake.
minute you said that, he was wide awake.
He goes, wait, why is it me? I just want to see if you guys were paying attention too. All right, Paul,
That's me.
sorry.
So that's okay. I forgive you.
All right, thank you.
So for communication with seniors, as COA director, you'll be in regular communication with seniors, families, service providers, volunteers, town staff. How do you ensure the communication is clear, respectful, professional, especially if in a difficult or emotional situation? Can you share an example of a challenging interaction you managed in person, by phone, or by email? What steps did you take? And what was the result?
Before you answer, I think this yeah, okay, because I had said, Lila, but I also said Mitch Frazier, so, yeah, okay, go ahead.
I think this is similar to the last question in some ways.
It is.
You deal with people. I mean, I'm it's not that it matters if I'm a lawyer, I'm a licensed attorney, so I have a pretty good writing background. You make sure if you put something in writing, you're careful. Don't put things in writing you don't want to not have in writing. So make sure you're very, very respectful. Make sure, that what you write is concise, clear, honest. And again, if you need to go pick up phone, pick up phone. I'm not a big fan. I always told my staff, I've been running fundraising staff for a long time. I said, you can't have a email or text relationship until you have a relationship. So once you have a relationship with somebody, it's pretty easy to send a text and say, I just took space. So get to know the people. I mean, go out there and meet folks, make sure you're accessible. So I think the key thing is being accessible, being clear in any writing, show up, with the town. I worked very, very, very closely with Wilbraham, town of Wilbraham. Actually, when I was building the Y, it was probably about a third of the way through the thought process fundraising. And the selectman asked me at one of these meetings, would you consider adding the senior center to the YMCA? I said, I'd consider anything. And I said, you pay for it, we'll be happy to. We ended up paying for it, but we had a 20-year, not 20-year lease, but it went for 20 years. Well, we actually brought the senior center out of a school and into the YMCA separate facility. But that's how that's how you work with town officials. You see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and just make sure the communication's both ways. So I'm used to dealing with government, I'm used to dealing with private citizens and constituents.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments? Okay. Want to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so again, communication with the seniors. As COA director, you'll be in regular communication with seniors, families, service providers, volunteers, town staff. How do you ensure the communication is clear, respectful, professional, especially in a difficult or emotional situation? Can you share an example of a challenging interaction you managed in person, by phone, by email, and what steps did you take and what was the result? So I know there's a lot there, but
Seems like there's a lot of moving parts there.
yeah.
I think I've dealt more with families with my time with the American Cancer Society, because cancer is a family disease. And we had a lot of programs that were designed just for families. So I probably had more experience there because Eva did the heavy lifting on that at the senior center. As the program coordinator, though, I used to like, or I do like to say that I have the lovely corner office with the window way back at the senior center. So I have a bird's eye view of what's going on and I can keep track of things. We had one gentleman that was just a lovely, lovely man. And he was having memory problems. And it got to the point where it was a danger for him to be there because he was going to end up hurting himself. One time he pulled the coffee out while it was running, different things. So I would let Eva know, and then she was the one who would talk to the family on that one. But I communicate with seniors on a daily basis, and I work with my party volunteers and the volunteers that come in and help with lunch and what have you. With seniors, we find that I use a lot of robocalls. We call them my senior center program. You can set it up to call groups, and I remind them, remind them, and remind them. When I'm working with the volunteers, I like to let them know what I want to have done, but I also like them to take the lead and feel good about what they're doing. So as long as they're doing it in a way that fits in the box, let them be creative and do their thing. And sometimes they do a better job than any of us could do. Did I miss any part of that? Yes, it was.
No, I mean, it's kind of a long question and I think you did fine. I mean, it's just to make sure that, Eva did a wonderful job. So to replace her is going to be hard. I'm not saying there's nobody that can do it, but our seniors come first, in my opinion. And I just love senior citizens. I love their stories. I think they're great personally. So that's why I like Marty, because he's old.
That's what I said. Hey, Mitch, what are the old guys on the board? What are the senior
So-
centers? Seniors.
Moving on.
This, hold one second. This goes to, okay.
What types of problems do you think could arise in a senior center environment, and how would you approach or resolve them?
This is a rise.
Just name one.
You have to be pretty ready for anything. I've noticed, and I have to keep an eye on the exercise group because we have a couple of people that are diabetic and have low sugar. And so I have to keep juice in the refrigerator, and that I can kind of tell and, take them aside and bring them in and get them the juice or whatever they need. But you always have to kind of be looking out. That would be a problem. And something I was just going to say, and it left me, which does happen sometimes. It's, be aware of what's going on all the time around you, to be very aware. And think of anything else that really comes to mind.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think it's, really knowing your constituents and just watching for signals that things might be changing. One of my neighbors who I'm very close with just went down to visit her and she went from, just being her to going into the dementia realm. And so she's in an assisted living right now, but that happened quickly. And it's really being close to somebody, you can see that happen. But you got to know who your constituents are and see if they're a little bit different every day. And if they are, reach out to their families and make sure you're having discussions and make sure that you're aware. It's no different than whether it's the Y or a daycare. And I don't mean to compare that to a senior center, but you have to know who's there and make sure you reach out if people need resources. And don't delay, because you might not get a second chance. And, and again, with any of the activities, making sure they're very safe. But we did at the Y, we still have a very active older adults program, making sure the instructors are trained for that. Because teaching a 18-year-old something, it might be different than teaching a senior citizen. Make sure you have the right instructor for the right program so that you're offering safe activities.
Questions? Comments? No? Okay. Now, Fraser.
Correct. Okay, if this is balancing teamwork and leadership. This role requires strong teamwork while also asserting yourself as a leader when responsibilities fall directly to you. Can you describe a time when you work collaboratively as a team, as part of a team, while still taking the lead on certain duties?
Yeah, sure. Every job I've had has been that, without a doubt. I've always led, small teams, large teams. I've had 500 employees. I've had 20 employees. I think summer camp is the best example. I mean, it's one of those days I always kind of joke, but it's not a joking matter. You have a lot of kids, and when I was running my camps, it might be the worst day of the summer. It might be the coldest day of the summer. I would go out there. I'd do my welcome to camp. I'd look at my staff. They would look at me, and I'd jump in the pool or I'd jump in the lake. And I said, okay, if I did that, guess what? You're all doing it today too. So you have to lead by example. The key thing is making sure you lead by example. Don't be above doing anything. Making sure that you hold folks, to their jobs, but make sure you're part of, whether it's setting up tables, taking down tables. You have to show you're part of the team. And that's what I've always done. I think that's probably my guilt a little bit too. I came out of just a working class kind of family. We did our things. And so I've never, asked people to do things that I don't do. I go back to even with Bay State. I remember we do some major events. I drive up to Franklin County. I would put up an entire portable fence in a field. It'd take me about 2 hours. I think I was just getting away from the office, but it was just to show I was part of the team and not to show up to an event making a speech. So you have to make sure, again, you're leading by example. That's the key.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Stewart.
I don't think, if,
I'm sorry. Jesus, I don't know what the heck, I don't know where my head's at tonight.
Okay.
I
This
won't say another
role
word.
requires strong teamwork while asserting yourself as a leader when responsibilities fall directly to you. Can you describe a time when you work collaboratively as a part of a team while still taking the lead on certain duties?
Probably all the time. I agree with him. I mean, I think from my time with Greater Springfield to the American Cancer Society, which was truly a team-based culture, that's what you had to do. And in many of the teams, the committees that I sat on as the representative for the American Cancer Society, I could kind of box like what was management and what was mandatory to what we had to do and get done, and then separate the leadership part of it out, and let folks do what they do, but also be able to guide it. Like I found it better if we had a little agenda to go by anyway, because that way you could keep it time bound. Say that we've got to move along out of respect for everyone's time or something and speak in. At the senior center, I work with the volunteers. Again, like even just on a simple note, I guess it would be, here's what we have to do. Here's the way we have to do it. And work with them. And if something's going awry, I just pull them back. For instance, at our lunch club, we have a lunch club. And it's grown from a few people to about 18 people every month. And if I don't rein them in at some point and say, hey, look, guys, we got to move on to a place for next month, it's never going to happen. So you always have to, it's just something that I've always done naturally. I've never really given it a whole lot of thought. It's just kind of what you do.
You okay? All right.
All right. So next question, skill and experience. Do you have experience with grant searching and writing? Are you comfortable with all that Microsoft, Excel, Word, and Senior Center programming, tracking software? Brimfield uses My Senior Center for tracking and reporting. Do you have experience handling cash, performing basic accounting tasks related to donations and budgeting? That's a big question there. So I'll be happy to repeat it to you first.
Yes, I've been using Office 365 regularly. I'm fluent in My Senior Center. I've done grant researching and grant writing when I was with the American Cancer Society. I was not a grant writer, but there were certain things that I had to write for. Every year I did the grant to Raise of Hope to get money for our weekend event. So that was something I did every year, and I wrote grants to get some special funding for different events that we were having. At the senior center, I've done cultural council grants for some people. Mostly they do it themselves, and I give them a letter of support, but there were people that I did it for. So not super big experience, but yes, I'm capable of doing it. The budget, I did when I was doing the grant for Greater Springfield Senior Services. It wasn't difficult though. And I've done budget work in my initial years with the society. And then they changed how we did it, and then they sent it off to a whole different department. So I did it in the early years. I had to budget out what I thought I would need for the year and what have you. So that's what, and cash, yes. I've had, plenty of experience taking in the cash donations and etc.
So do you have experience within the senior center?
For grant writing?
No, for the handling of cash and performing
Oh,
the.
yes. We have our cash bucket. Everybody puts in for the monies. We take it out, we collect it at the end of the day, we log it on the Excel spread, and then we put it in an envelope for either to get it ready for deposits. Because everything's donations. Most people give us cash.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
On the grant side, I have a lot of experience in fundraising, grant writing. I've done small campaigns, $60-70 million campaigns. So, that's a sweet spot for me. It's writing grants and getting money. As far as, I have no experience with the senior center software.
With what?
Senior center software. So I have no experience with the software at the senior center. I'm fluent in, other softwares, Razor's Edge, things that are fundraising in or Microsoft inside out, not a problem. And handling of cash, yeah, it budgets, without a doubt. I've done, again, with the YMCA. Scantic was a great one. We started from scratch. We actually, when I first started that, we got $260,000 to get 3 years of funding. And I promised the funders, I'll come back in 3 years and tell you if it worked or it didn't. Came back in 3 years and it worked. And we built that to $1 million budget without a building. And then obviously, when I was running the Y, that was about a $12-13 million budget. And believe me, I was the last one to get paid because we were so tight. That's just the way it was at that time. So I don't think I ever got a full payroll at the very end. So yeah, very comfortable with budgeting. Software I can learn pretty quickly, and grant writing and fundraising is my sweet spot.
I blacked out there for a little bit. So you're not familiar with the senior center software, but Excel and Word and all that. Okay.
Yeah. It's easy to lose what you're doing when you're trying to write everything and listen at the same time. Okay, all set with those? More questions? Okay. Last up, this is the one I got wrong the last time, so I have to stay focused. Okay. In closing, do you have any questions for the select board?
I guess, what are you looking for in the senior center? What's your vision for your senior center?
Hey, anybody want to answer that?
You'd like someone who's going to work with the town and the committees and the select board, be proactive, be able to promote, get grants, work with what we have, expand it if possible, and just be able to handle and work with everybody within the town, within our different groups. That's my feeling. That's what I would like to see.
I agree. We have a great program. We have a great history. So I'd like to see that. Personally, I like to see that continue and grow and better ourselves. And I don't know how that is, or if it's possible, but we always need to strive.
We can't go back, we gotta go forward. So that means making it better. And, whoever gets this job is gonna have some tough shoes to fill, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, because Eva did such an amazing job. So we want someone that's at least equal in going up. Because it's our seniors that deserve every bit of it. And I'll be there someday, so I want to make sure it's perfect.
Did he look at me when he said that?
Oh, no, not that time.
You look down.
So I think it's important for the next director to really carefully balance being outward looking while inward focused. The inward focus is that programming piece. It's managing our center. The I's dotted, the T's crossed, and strong programming that it's always had. While that outward focus is bringing resources into our senior center. That's a hard balance for a lot of people, and that's what I have in my head of what I'm looking for in a director for our senior center.
Just one other question. Is there for donations, are you allowed to accept donations in a municipality, a town, or do you have a friends of group that should be taking donations?
Well, I'm going to deviate from the norm for just 1 second. Yes or no? Do you take donations?
Yes, we do.
And it's taken under what name?
Brimfield Senior Center. It all goes through the donations we bring in the senior center for different programs. We don't charge for any programs at our center. It's all donation. That goes into our donation account tab.
And that's through the town accountant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's also, there was a Friends of the Brimfield Senior Center group
Yep.
that hopefully will reform
Yeah.
again.
Usually friends of whether it's historical or senior, whatever, is just,
They go out,
you
but
can't, some some organizations are not allowed to do that, so you have to operate that way. Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. I guess my thought is very simple, because I'm simple. And that is, I think that skills like operating senior software and even doing budgets and some of these other things are skills that can be taught and learned. And I think, most people have the ability to do that. Not everyone, obviously, but I think a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. In my opinion, I think some of the most important things are good people skills. You got to be good with the people that you're taking care of, good awareness. And I think a couple of you guys have each said that at one point, and that is to be aware of who the people are that you're taking care of in many cases, whether it's through feeding or whatever programs. I think the ability to work with other groups and organizations, not just in the town of Brimfield, because I know particularly with the seniors, that's almost a regional thing, where we get people from other towns that come in and vice versa. So those would be the things. I think people skills, being aware of who you have. If you know that you have folks that may need special attention for something, I'll say this because I have it, so I'm not picking on anybody else. But if you had like a diabetic or something, okay, what's the potential for something happening here? Do you need to keep, the orange juice, or do you need, whatever it happens to be aware, be sensitive to those needs or those potential needs. And I think the rest of it develops over time. So, okay.
Did you have any questions for us?
I think you probably answered it. I can't think of anything specific. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming in this evening. We're not going to make a decision now, obviously. It wouldn't be fair to anybody if we didn't sit down and go over everything. So we will make sure that everybody's notified of our decision. And again, thank you very much. You both have great qualifications. The other folks that came in did too. So we don't have an easy task to pick somebody. But again, we appreciate your willingness to do it. We appreciate you coming in. And if not this, then maybe we can work on something else with you guys. Okay? Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Happy New Year.
You have no more interviews?
What?
Oh,
That's it.
I thought there were more people.
Nope, that's it. 2 last week, 2 this week. Thank you. You know, the problem is when you're sitting there and you're scribbling, right, that's why, like, right, this, and I look up and go, okay, who's next? Mitch? Like, oh, damn it. Well, that's because I was more focused on what they were saying than what I was trying to write, you know? That is the excuse I'm sticking with, so don't try to change my mind. All right,
Don't worry.
all right. Okay. All right, next up on the agenda, we have approved contractor's application for payment number 2 for the public water supply construction. Thought he was making his way out of
Yeah,
here.
it's just crazy. Yeah, it's just.
Oh, it's free. Oh, okay. Chris.
So this is the application for payment that includes the change order that was approved at the last meeting. Application for payment is currently in the warrant, so that if it's approved tonight, it can go out for payment promptly because
Okay.
it's set up, it drags on.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, so this is just authorizing the payment, which we're contractually obligated to do rather. So if somebody wants to make a motion to approve that, we can move on.
Word it. How do you want it worded?
Just as is, right?
Yeah, just say yes.
Agenda item.
Just,
Okay, I make a motion, we approve contractor's application for payment number 2 in public water supply construction.
okay, can I get a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Dwyer, aye.
Vandal, I.
Stewart, aye.
Fraser, aye.
Kelly, aye. Thank you very much. So that can go out now. We won't have to pull that, okay? Next on the agenda, we have the chair, Joe Baloo of the Finance Committee. And he's just here to talk a little bit about the budget planning for fiscal year 2027. Have a seat right there. Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
I'm glad you didn't run out the door early.
I like this little setup too. It's a
Yeah,
little,
right?
Yeah, nothing big really. I just wanted to say that we've started the fiscal year 2027 budget planning, and essentially I just wanted to invite the select board to, to give us any of your budget priorities or if there's any upcoming warrant articles that we should plan on and stuff, try to get ahead of that. The timeline is tight this year because the annual town meeting is.
Yeah, we moved it up on you,
It's
yeah.
a month earlier than
Yeah.
usual, so our deadlines will be a month earlier. So budget sheets are gonna go out to the department heads next week with a deadline or soft deadline really of January 30th. And then we'll have our first meeting on January 26th and start reviewing those and meeting with people that need anything that's out of the ordinary, anything beyond target. We've already met and decided to at least tentatively set a 3% cost of living increase for all employees.
I want to say that again, just because I want to make sure that we can pick that on the recording.
Yeah, we tentatively set a 3% increase in cost of living increase for all town employees. And a 0% increase in expenses, although we would address on, expense needs individually if people want to come to us and talk about different needs they have. Once we start on January 26th, we'll meet every other week until we get all the budgets straightened out. When I say budget priorities, I mean, like, just for example, if you find out, when you find out what the salary package will be for the COA director, for example,
Yep.
Chris will probably send that over to me, or if there's any other warrant article items that would be big ticket items, if we can know about that.
Yeah, so if there's
early in the
any
process.
articles that may be looking for dough, we want to give you the heads up on that and just say, X amount for this and Y here, okay?
Yeah, because that just
Yeah.
helps us to know ahead
Yeah.
of time. I usually do get from Chris or before Teresa, I usually get fed that stuff, but I just want to let you
Yeah,
guys
no,
know
it's good.
to try to get on that early so that we know. Just in general, recurring expenses like an increase in salary or increase in leases or anything like that, or a little more daunting than one-time expenses, because obviously a one-time expense, if we know we have the money, we can just approve it, but for something that is going to come back every year, we have to give it a little more consideration. And also just a heads up, we have three members whose terms are expiring this year, but I'll ask them at the next meeting if they want a renewal or not, but
Yeah, and
that's
just,
something else we always seem to think about at the meeting and.
I know, yeah, that's good. Just make sure we have it at the town meeting because, we'll have to make those appointments accordingly.
Is there anything tonight that anybody wanted to tell me, or you just want to?
I mean, how's that trash? How's the trash doing? I know the trash was like,
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the trash. Yeah, it's been going up 6% every year, so it's taking a bigger chunk out of the budget, and I think the day is going to come where we have to consider a trash fee. I think my feeling is the trash program is very popular with the residents. It certainly seems to get used, but I think probably for this year, we're probably going to be okay, but just something that should be on your.
On the radar for down the road, huh?
And, I don't know how people feel about a fee. I mean, it is an additional tax. On the other hand, sometimes trash is one of those things that not everyone uses it, so maybe, on the other hand, I don't have kids in school either, so.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Those are
absolutely.
just things to discuss, and
you're aware that we increased the duty rate, special duty rate for the officers? And that'll be.
yeah, I am, yes, I'm
Chief's
aware.
budget.
Oh, the detail rate, right,
Yes.
yeah, I am aware of that. I don't think that really affects us, but I'll talk to the chief when he comes in with his budget.
Yeah, I think in my discussion with him, I think the way it would affect the finance committee might be because he does some details for the town that he pays for out of his. And if he's not paying it, it might not necessarily affect his budget, but then it might affect highway or, whoever else might be needing their services. So,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things we'll have to try to figure out.
I thought the new detail rate was just private and that the town rate was still what it was, but is that different?
No.
So the town will also pay the higher rate? Okay, so that will affect us then.
Well, yeah, and
Slightly, because I don't know how many details the town actually uses, the town departments actually use, but I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and as we go forward, these are things that we can talk about. But, the reason that we did that just for your own edification is because, we felt that where we keep saying to the police chief that if you have needs over and above the norm at, say, the show, we've been saying, well, you can bring in whoever you need and but unfortunately, the flip side of that is if we're not giving them the amount of money that they make in their own town, the chances are we're not going to get them in here. So, we can't say you've got the authority and the responsibility to do that without making sure that what he might be faced with is addressed. And this is a big one.
Yeah.
In my mind.
No, I agree. Traditionally, they've gotten officers from other towns and
Right.
they can make more,
Yeah, if they're making, I'm just making up numbers. These are not real numbers. Let's say they were making $100 in their own town, okay? And we said, we need you to come in here and work for 60 or 75 or whatever the number is. Why would I go do that when I can go do it detail elsewhere and get the extra money? So we just don't want to we don't want to find out that that's a problem in the middle of a crisis sometime. You know what I mean? Make sure it's addressed ahead of time. So, but that's something else we would talk to.
One other just kind of big issue, and maybe Chris can, just the insurance for the town has really, every year it goes up. And I think you said one year they didn't even want to write us for insurance.
And unfortunately, a good.
Know like why that is, or if there's any way to.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, a good portion of that has to do with all of the lawsuits that get filed. There's only one that I know of that's ever been won against the town, and that one should have been won against the town. But other than that, we can't control who's going to be filing lawsuits and MCAT complaints or anything else. But to date, with one exception, we have not lost any of them. So, but it doesn't mean anything because it's still going to make your rates go up, which is what's happening.
Right.
So.
I thought maybe the condition of the buildings may have had something to do with it too.
I don't think so. Good, Chris.
It's been primarily the fact that we've had a number of lawsuits. It's within their kind of 5-year look back window. So ideally, if there aren't new lawsuits in about 2 years, that risk should go down and hopefully better stabilize our rates going forward.
Okay.
that's one of those things that there's almost nothing we can do about that.
Right.
You know, I mean, people are gonna sue, they're gonna sue.
Right.
You know, you can't plan for that, unfortunately.
I have a question, Joe, with starting this process, how often do you include the other elected and appointed boards, committees, departments in the town to work through this with you, your committee?
So we only schedule meetings with everyone that has a budget, every department head that has a budget, but you're always welcome to come to a meeting. We meet approximately every week, depending on what the holidays are.
So all the boards, committees, departments that have.
Well, actually, only if they don't want to accept the target amount. So we give them a budget sheet with the target amounts, and if they like that, they just sign off on it, then they don't have to come see us. But if they have a warrant article or they want something that they need an increase to their expenses, for example, then they would come to us and discuss that.
So they would go to all your meetings and
No,
work.
just one.
Yeah, they'd be part of that process. Okay, I just wanted to understand.
We also, this year, we always used to do it, but we designated one FinCom member to coordinate with each department head ahead of time also to try to streamline that.
The elected and the appointed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other
Just-
questions or comments?
I had one more
Yeah.
thing to bring up. The ambulance contract becomes due this year,
Right.
this coming year. We were discussing, looking at it, perhaps changing, renegotiating, whatever. So I just want to make you aware of that. I can't see any drastic changes. But
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I've been following the whole ambulance thing, and I know statewide it's an issue, and I hope some state regulations come about. But I mean, personally, I've heard of some pretty awful things, and I don't know if we can change that contract, or if we don't even, do we even want to renew with them? I don't know.
Yeah, there were things in that
That's up
contract.
to you guys.
Yeah, we had some folks from the ambulance service come in here a while back now, and they brought information with them that I think everybody kind of shook their head and went, what? What did they just say? So there were definitely things in there that need a very hard look. And if they're,
We pay them the service, and then if they go to a call and they aren't needed, they still try to bill with people, and that's not right.
and they go to the call and they're not requested to go to the call, you know? I mean, it's one thing to go and have somebody say, well, you know, yeah, I asked for an ambulance, but I think I'm okay. I'm not going to take, you know, but it's quite another to just say, well, I heard there was a call, so we went to it. Now you owe us X amount of dollars. That was
Reiterate that that's not just a Brimfield problem. that this
right.
is a state problem.
That's exactly right. No, no.
Right.
Yep. Nope. That's true everywhere.
Yeah, it was a big article statewide. It's a
Yep.
problem.
Yep. I
But
remember.
what I've understand and people I've talked to, legislators are working on correcting. the problem. But there's nothing in place yet.
I know a long time ago, we had that problem with tow contracts, and the DPU now regulates all state towing, so they might have to do something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, so if there's anything like we're gonna pay a lot more for that or whatever, let me know.
Yeah, they'll have to let you know.
Hopefully not.
You always go into it thinking we're going to beat it down, but it doesn't always happen, you know,
It didn't work like that.
unfortunately. All right. Any other questions? Thanks, Joe. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
Joe.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next up, we have the annual town report and town meeting warrant notices. I said report, but
These are just the annual notices that get sent out, reminding people to submit their annual reports and articles for the warrant. As Joe said, it's 3 or 4 weeks earlier this year, so.
Yep.
There's more of a push. We have not received any articles to date.
okay.
Couple that I anticipate, but nothing is.
This is something we'll have to keep an eye on because people are not used to doing it this early, you know what I mean? And I think they tend to, I know I'm the same way, so they tend to wait, you know, on it. So we just, in fairness to the finance committee, we need to get that addressed as soon as possible so that they have the numbers to work with. We can't ask them to come up with a, you know, 3%, 2%, 5%, whatever the increase is going to be, if we don't even know where we are with the numbers. So knowing what we're going to spend on articles and new issues, you know.
But this office has asked that those articles be submitted by February 19th.
Yep.
Let's just state that.
Should have asked Joe. We're gonna have to ask Joe if did we ask Joe if February 19th will
Yeah.
be good for the finance committee?
I mean, that was, which, were they both February?
We just maybe double back and ask Joe if February 19th meets their planning timeline.
You
They
go,
were built around, the needs of the printer and getting stuff reviewed through attorneys to ensure that we have.
That's the other thing. Right, we're gonna have less time to get everything printed up and ready and so forth, so there's a lot that has to go on.
Can we just ask Joe if that runs a problem with the finance committee and maybe we can take another look? But I think we also should be checking with finance committee on that February 19th.
Is Joe still here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there.
blower, I could be able to hear you though.
Oh. The deadline for getting in any potential articles or, increases that they're looking for, is that a reasonable time for you? Okay. See, he's so quiet. We didn't notice he was so. No. We just want you to have the information to work with, so you can plan around it, right? Yeah.
I understand we're not gonna have the health insurance numbers by then. I already.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep you posted as we go forward, for sure. Thank you. Okay, we all good with that?
Yep.
All right, now I asked Chris to put this next one on here because this is, see what says access to town council? Well, I will tell you, years ago, this kind of morphed into, you would have to come to the select board's office and the chair normally is the one that gives the nod on going to the attorney for whatever question you have. And the reason that turned out that way was because you would have 5, 6, 7 people all picking up the phone, calling the town council and asking the same question. You know what I mean? And we were getting killed in our expenses for the lawyers. So in an attempt to control that, we said this is the way it has to be done, and it works very well. But there is one very important issue on the table about this. Nobody that works for the town department heads, elected, anybody else, should be picking up the phone and doing it on their own. And certainly nobody who is a resident of the town should be reaching out to the town council, even if it's just copying them on documentation. So I'm going to instruct Chris to make sure the attorney knows that we're not responding to anything like that. We're not paying for it. And if any kind of a problem with that, then we'll take it up with the attorneys. So I just want to make you aware of that so there's no misunderstanding. Any questions or anything about that?
Well, I'm surprised that it still isn't qualified by the head of the select board. The request should be submitted in writing and then approved by you and then submitted.
And really approved by me only simply means that I'm going to be able to know if others have been asking the same question. So if you call and say, hey, I want to ask a question about trash, just to arbitrarily pick one because we were talking about it, I might say to you, hey, it's no need. Mitch asked the same question. We've got an answer here. We'll have Chris send it to you. Okay, that way we can control what we're spending there.
I think it's better to have a focus point than that one.
Absolutely correct.
It's-
Yep, absolutely correct. So just so it's known, everybody okay with that? All right. Okay, discussion of AI policy. Who wants to jump in on that one? He knows exactly who it is.
So we've gotten an email recently from the executive office of technologies, services and security. I think that's the proper for that, advising towns to, because AI is becoming more prevalent, to have a policy in place for the use within the town, specifically, things like barring using AI for anything involving confidential information. Also, one of the ELS newsletters had mentioned about this. So I've attached the draft policy from the EOTSS as well as 2 sample AI policies. One from
Rockland, Mass.
Rockland, Mass, which is a fairly bare bones policy. The other from a town in New Hampshire that
obviously is not necessarily directly applicable, but goes into a little more detail on various things that could be included. Just looking to see if the board wanted to pursue an AI policy, and if so, kind of direction for it.
Okay.
I mean, anything that we put together would be input from Steve Rich with IT.
Okay.
I think this is, I mean, my personal opinion is this is something that we need to look at closely, because this is coming snowballing, AI is snowballing. So I haven't had time, I personally, I haven't had time to look at the different policies that you have given us, Chris. But I think my vote is that this board should, proceed.
So the intent is to protect personally identifiable information, right? That's really the nexus for putting a policy like this together.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yep.
All right, and then, I'm just looking through some of the ways that Rockland intends to use it. And even then, there's some risk because AI is not always right, and it'll give you feedback as if it is right. So there's some risk there as well.
Going off of that, one thing with the New Hampshire town that had made that stand out to me was they require things that are produced using AI in partner and whole to state that they were using AI, which I think would help with what you were saying. At least we know their presentation may make it look more authoritative than it actually is.
Yeah, and you can also ask it for its source, right? So you can go find the source document and you can confirm that that what the AI is saying is actually factual. But that's probably a minuscule problem as compared to the real intent, which is to protect PII. But it's just something else we ought to think about in our policy.
Okay. All right. So we agree at this point. There's no, I don't think there's really a motion we made. We just agree that we're going to take a look at this, come up with some ideas, and then maybe collectively try to put some kind of a program together on that, right? So why don't we give everybody an opportunity to read through all of this, and then we can.
Chris to go through and try to put something together. And then we.
Oh, yeah, I totally want Chris to do that.
He doesn't have enough to do.
I was just going to say, we just keep piling stuff on poor Chris.
Well, to make it somewhat easy, like just I've looked at the Rockland one, and they nailed quite a bit of this.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think the only thing that they may be missing is the part that I just mentioned, how we can't be fully dependent on AI to give us factual information. There are times based on the topic, we're going to just need to find the source document. Add that little bit in there.
You say just add that maybe to it, if everybody agrees.
And doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't this have to go to town council as well, once we have something in place?
I mean, it would be good to make sure.
Yeah.
Geez, I just keep blaming all my mistakes on that. Wasn't me. That was AI. All right. So no action at this point other than to start reviewing this and getting some ideas together. Okay. Next up, we have a 2026 annual common victualers license for Villa Sophia's. Wait, before you do this. I remembered.
So this just came in today. We've been waiting on it. As such, I don't send off the verification of good standing until I have an application in hand. The tax collector has signed off that they are up to date on taxes, but the building inspector isn't in until tomorrow. So any motion would need to be pending his approval.
Yeah, but as his license expires on Wednesday, we can approve this if the board wants to. We can approve it subject to, okay? So why don't, Crystal, if you don't mind making the motion, Chris can tell you what it is he needs you to say in there, okay?
Probably would anyway.
Let me know if this is, I make a motion to accept the common victualler license for Villa Sophia, contingent to the building,
To
Sign off.
zoning,
sign off.
zoning official sign off.
And I wouldn't expect that there'll be a problem because he's been running there, but we have to do about a number, so.
And again, we're just doing this so that we, you know, pending our official, the official, so that he doesn't lose his license. He's not operating illegally.
Yeah, and just as a thought, let's say for some reason we can't foresee here that tomorrow the zoning officer says, oh, there's a problem, we can't do that, all right? We have to be prepared to tell him that he's not approved until that's taken care of, right? You all happy with that? Okay.
Do you want to sign off tonight?
Yeah, we can sign up, but yeah, but you're not gonna get it until we have what we need.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna approve it.
And if we don't have what we need in time to do it, then if he doesn't present it, right?
The building inspector will be in there with, certainly within the next 2 weeks prior to our next meeting. So we're gonna approve it tonight.
Yeah.
Pending the building.
But yeah, all we need him to, he can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
He can just sign
And
off
then
on
it's
it
good.
tomorrow, right? So unless something drastically has changed that would affect his ability to run, I would just say,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, there shouldn't be a hiccup. if
no, that's what I'm
everything's
saying.
fine.
Yeah, you've done it for several years, so. All right. So we have that as a motion. Can we get a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Why, Ryan?
Vandal, aye?
All right.
Kelly, aye. Okay, that is approved subject to. Yep. Next up, we have a 2026 annual motor vehicle Class B license for a Compass, what? Class 2, what did I say?
B.
B, what an idiot. Well, that's 2, isn't it, in the alphabet? I'm editorializing over here, okay? For Compass Auto Sales LLC, and they are located,
On a road.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2026 annual motor vehicle Class 2 license for Compass Auto Sales LLC.
Second that.
all in favor?
Vandal, aye?
Raise your eye.
Kelly, aye. Thank you. We have nothing listed under old business for this evening, but next up, we do have an executive session. So I'm going to ask to clear the room, and this young man can take his equipment if you want, because we will not be reconvening in public session.
Just when you go out, sit straight again.